America's a propositional nation. This is who we are. And it's very important that we learn about this and we talk about this. Because my friends across the aisle here are right. Most people don't know anything about American founding philosophy. Most people don't know anything about the American moral proposition. And that's our failure. To paraphrase Reagan, the loss of liberty is only a generation away. We are a propositional nation. And I said this earlier, but when the enemies are at the doorstep and they're trying to undo America, their first move universally is to attack the American moral proposition. They're going to attack the fact that we have a moral heritage, that there is something objective and philosophical that binds us together, because they have to. They always have to, because communism is incompatible with the American moral proposition. Slavery is incompatible with the moral proposition. A theocracy is incompatible with the moral proposition. So in order to institute any of those things, you would have to convince the people that this didn't exist first. And unfortunately, that's what's happening right now. Our children are not taught about this in schools. Our children are not taught that our founders believed in Scottish common sense moral realism, that they believed that these truths were axiomatic, that there was a grounding epistemology, a grounding philosophy on which they made the claims in the Declaration of Independence. They're not taught enough that what made slavery go away, what led to its abolishment, it was this moral proposition. It was good enough for Lincoln. It was good enough for Douglas. It was good enough for MLK. It was good enough for the women's suffrage movement. They all expressly cited the American moral proposition, as stated in the Declaration of Independence, as the justification for those movements. And yet today, even amongst my learned friends, it seems like it's a confusing, controversial claim. That's something that we ought to fix. We ought to have an education system that solves these problems. But instead, we have the 1619 Project. Instead, we have a consistent attempt to undermine this. And I do put that on the footsteps of the left, because as a former teacher, I can tell you there are no conservatives in teachers' colleges. There are no conservatives, or barely any, in the education system. This is a left-created problem. Unfortunately, as a result, people don't have a grounding in this philosophy, and predictably, collectivism is on the rise. Authoritarianism is on the rise. You even see some people arguing for a ethno-state or a theocracy on the rise. There is a clear abandonment of these principles that would lead to understanding what is outside the bounds for us as Americans. And unfortunately, that's going away. And I think it leaves us hollow. A legalistic rather than a moral foundation that is insufficient to armor us against assaults from more convincing and more powerful ideologies. And I think we can do better.